Hi, Chris Beausoleil here. I just did a couple other videos and a couple videos previous to this in close proximity about system user interface configuration change that I had found. And so I noticed something else previously when I stopped system user interface. I can stop it now because I restarted my phone. Please refer to the previous video. So I can stop it now. And previously, if I did this, I could go between applications from the recent apps list and um, system user interface would not start. The only way it would start is if, like, for example, I went to my home screen. Then system user interface would start. But previously, I could stop it like this, and then I could go into my recent apps, and I could say go into File Manager, and then go back again, and it would still be off. But this has changed. This has been reconfigured so that when I go to recent apps, um, it restarts the system user interface. It never did that before. So like I said, these changes, I don't know what is standard behavior for these apps, but I know that they are configuring the phone as they go along to suit their agenda, to suit their purposes. I know for a fact because I used to, because I don't want them to, I want to break their connection to my phone. I don't want them watching what I'm doing or taking screenshots. So I used to stop the system user interface, and then I used to go between recent apps and pick apps to work with. I can't do that anymore. Every time I go into recent apps list, uh, the system user interface restarts. So in the video previous to this, you'll see a whole bunch of weird ghost behavior with recent apps lists, and I think that's brand new too, and that's related to a new configuration that they've done. Um, um, Phone. So one sec. So just what I did, I went into Termux and I just pulled up and did a simple little command: ps aux grep firmware, and you'll see. With every start of the phone, update firmware starts. So I think what they do is I think that they update the firmware to modify the system to run as they want. So I think they modified the stock firmware on this phone. So even if I did a backup and rebooted and went back to a stock factory update or stock factory setting, it would still set up their settings that they've made, because I think they've tampered with the firmware. And so basically I'm lost because I can't go back to the original stock firmware if that's the case, because I have no idea for how to get it from the company ZTE. They're all obviously dishonest because they put a backdoor into the phone, the adapts FOTA backdoor. I mentioned it in many other videos. So you're basically screwed. You've got a firmware that's been tampered with and can't be changed. And then you also notice down below that is another system bin 6620 launcher P with the argument P, and it's calling system etc firmware. So what the heck? Do they load launcher P with payload, and that's how they, and then call system call firmware um, to drop the payload into the system, and then the system's reconfigured every time you start the phone up? I don't know what they're doing and how they're doing it, but it's pretty high level stuff, and it shows extreme advanced knowledge, not extreme advanced knowledge. It shows very, very advanced knowledge into the inner workings of the phone and into the inner workings of this specific phone, ZTE, and probably all phones. So I think that this is pretty bad, and I don't know how they're making system changes, whether they're using firmware to do it, whether they're making hard-coded changes into firmware, or whether they're calling a payload. I don't think that they would. I'm kind of nervous to say that they're actually changing the firmware because they are extremely. They don't want to leave any evidence. So I think what would happen is that they would update the firmware from a packet or payload, which would be 6620 launcher P, which calls firmware, and that updates the firmware, and it disappears with every shutdown. So then when you reboot the phone up and it goes through the whole process again, and it formats the phone according to how they want it to be formatted. And the minute they want to pull the plug, they just pull the plug and everything disappears, and there's no evidence of of their being in the phone or even updating the firmware or anything. They just plant a script. It deletes any evidence as it boots out, as it bugs out, and there's laughing. They're laughing down the street. They just hit you, and they're laughing down the street, and there's no evidence of their presence. That is more like the Anglicans, to actually change the firmware, hardware, or hardwire, or hard code changes to the firmware. I don't think they actually like doing that because it leaves evidence, and if they get caught, then it's evidence that they've been tampering with the system. So I have no idea what they're doing or how they're doing it. I'm just going through different possibilities. Anyways, this phone has been changed. It has been modified. Firmware has been changed and has been modified. Or not firmware, but the configuration and how a system user interface runs has been changed. And as you can see from the previous video, they watch what you're doing, and then they modify what they're doing as they're going. So if you watch the last video I made, you actually see a change in the system. They correct the problem as the screen capture is running. So like I said, these people have really, really high-level skills, and I think that they're doing this to people all over the world. The Anglican churches everywhere, the Presbyterian churches everywhere, and the Church of England is pretty powerful, and the Episcopalian Church in America is the equivalent to the Anglican Church here in Australia. They're an offshoot, or they're like an affiliate of the Church of England. Well, they are Church of England in the United States. They just don't have the Queen as their head. So anyways, but the power is still there, and they still have the support of the Church of England. So yeah, beware. These people are crazy.